Come join me as I walk you through the creation of this 12 by 12 on wood. All right, let's get started. Hello and welcome. If you love abstract art, then you are in the right place. My name is Betty Franks, and I'm going to be creating on this 12 by 12 by 2-inch cradled wood, and I am inspired by my love for fields of flowers. So getting started here, I was showing you that I had gessoed the entire piece, all the sides. And here I've got a mixed gray. I'll talk about that in just a moment while I'm trying to open it. So this particular cradled wood I purchased from Cheap Joe's, and I love it because it is 2 inches on the side and it's nice and hefty. It's got a nice weight to it. I think I especially love it because of the 2-inch sides, because I love to work on the sides of a substrate, especially when I do that for canvas, but I especially love wood. So here I started off with, like I said, putting down gesso all the way around. So the sides, the top of it, I let that dry. And then I like to start with mark making. So you saw me put down some marks, and then I like to go right into black paint. Now, I did a mixed, what I call a mixed gray, which is I took black paint and I added a variety of different colors to it, such as green or red or purple, whatever I had on hand. I just threw it in there, shook it all up, and that just creates a bit of a deeper black, a more sophisticated black instead of the black directly out of the jar. Now, if you've been following me for a while, then you know that I love to mix colors, and mixing that black is just kind of part of my process. Now, there are times where I'll use the black directly out of the jar. I really do love that intense black color. And then other times I will use that mixed black, or what I call my mixed gray. Here I've put out some colors, and I love to keep my colors separated, meaning I like to either work with warm colors first or cool colors first. And the main reason I love to do that is because I don't want to create mud. Now, mud is okay. I like mud sometimes. I do like my browns and my neutrals, and we'll add some in here as well. But to keep my colors really bright and vibrant, I like to keep those colors separated. So here I've got a yellow, I've got an Indian yellow. So the first one is a cadmium yellow, Indian yellow. Not sure what that third color is. I want to say it might be parole red, and then a pink. It might be fluorescent pink. So I'm going to just be mixing these as I go and putting down a layer here. Now, after I did the black, I just cleaned off my brush, just took most of that black off my brush, and then I dipped it right into white. That's where I started creating some foundation to this painting, putting in some larger elements, some smaller elements, some medium-sized elements. And by elements, what I mean is those circles, those lines, those all represent my love for flowers. So here, I'm moving pretty quickly. I had to speed up this video, and the main reason for that, you're going to find out towards the end. I really struggled with this one. It just simply, there was parts of it that just wasn't working for me. So initially I got through, the first few stages, and I thought I was kind of, like 90% done, and I set it aside. And then as I was looking at it, I was like, oh, no, that's not working and that's not working. So I went back into it, and I'll show you that later. But then there's one section that I went back into 3 or 4 times because the colors just weren't working. And sometimes that happens to me where it just doesn't work until it does. And in the end, it did work. So here I grabbed a rigger. This is one of my favorite brushes. It's kind of like a script brush, but I've been told it's not a script brush. It's a rigger, but it basically has long bristles on it. And I love it for making finer marks and thin marks. And sometimes I use the side of it and just add paint that way, which I know is not the right way to use it, but honestly, Tools are meant to be used any which way you think they work for you. So I have learned over the years to just try different things with it. And one day I tried using this rigger as a brush, just using the sides of it. And I love the way it kind of skipped around on my substrate and it allowed some of those other layers to show through. And I love when other layers show through. I love the depth that it creates. So discovering that was kind of like a wonderful moment for me. I'm like, oh, it can do more than just make lines for me. So experiment with what you have and different brushes and different tools and see what they can do for you as opposed to what they're intended to do for you. Here you can see I'm making sure that I'm painting on the sides as I go. I love to have my artwork wrap around the sides of the paintings. And I'm drying it here real quick just so we can move on. And I sped it up even more right there so that we can get through that layer of me or that section of me drying it. And this is now the reason I dried it is so that I can switch over to my cool colors. So cool colors being like blues and greens and purples. I just throw those in the category of cool colors. Now yellow works with warm or with cool. So I'm adding yellow here as well. And here's some blue, not sure which blue that was. I do have a bundle of paints with Nova, and the ones on my table are all part of my bundle, and it's called Betty's Bundle. I'm going to leave a link down below this video for you, or just leave me a comment asking me to send you my paints. They are 15 colors, and that includes black and white in there, so technically 13 colors plus black and white. They are my go-to colors, my favorite colors, the ones that I use most often. So all the colors you're seeing me use here today are the ones that are in Betty's bundle. And the bundle comes in two sizes. One is the 4-ounce, which is the size that I have on my table here, and the 16-ounce, 4-ounce and 16-ounce, I think. So two sizes. Honestly, start with the smaller size. I think you should try out all the colors first before you buy the larger one. So give the 4-ounce size a try. I always bought the 4-ounce size whenever I was trying a new color so that I was sure I really liked it before I bought the quart, the pint or the quart. Okay, so I was showing you a close-up there of, I came back into this with mark making, and I like to do that when I dry the piece between layers. So between going from warm colors like we did here to cool colors, I like to come back in and make all those marks because I had covered up a lot of them in that first layer that I had put down. So it's moving into that very chaotic state where there's, not a whole lot of what do I want to say? There's no clear understanding of how this is going to turn out. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And here I'm filling in as I go. So not only do I make marks, I continue to make marks like I did in those first few layers, but I also start filling in. So I'm saving some of those things that I had in the first layer, not covering everything up. But in some areas, I am covering it up. So this is the part where, I try not to think about it too much. I just say, I like that color. Maybe I'll save some of that. Or this area, don't really care for this color. Maybe I'll just cover this with a new color. And then if I don't like that new color, I'll come back in when it dries and I'll add yet another color. And what I discovered in my, making mistakes, I'm doing air quotes there, making mistakes with my colors, what I discovered in doing that is that I loved the depth that I was creating when I was painting over those quote unquote mistakes. So in turn, it really doesn't, it's really not a mistake the way I look at it. It's rather just part of the process, learning to put down colors and figuring out what you like and what you don't like. And what you don't like is perfectly okay to put down because With acrylic paints, you can just let that dry and cover it up. And that's why I love acrylic paints. I don't have patience for oils. They just take too long to dry, and I can't build up these layers like this. Now I'm adding some lighter values here so that everything isn't kind of that mid-tone range of values. I set a notebook to the side, to the right side of me, kind of at the beginning of this because I'm listening to a podcast or videos. I'm listening to something and I wanted to take notes, which I don't think I really did take any notes, but it was there just in case. I love listening to podcasts when I am working or if I'm on Zoom with some friends, anything where I'm talking or I'm listening to somebody else talk, it distracts my left brain, that judging brain that is questioning everything that I'm doing. Like, why did you put down that color? Why did you put down that mark? Are you serious? Why are you using that paintbrush? All of those things used to go through my head constantly. And I discovered that when I was listening to somebody talk, could be anything. It could be even a YouTube video where I'm not paying attention to the video itself, the graphics or whatever. I'm listening to the audio. I discovered that my judging brain was too preoccupied with listening to what was being said that it allowed my right creative brain to just go for it and just do stuff. Do stuff meaning create art, put down marks, and not have this judging brain tell me that I shouldn't be doing that or why did I do that or questioning everything that I do. And ever since I discovered that, and that was back in 2018, summertime of 2018, when I discovered that, wow, after that, it was like, nope, I've got to listen to something all the time now. And and sometimes, I'm not fully listening. Most of the time I am. Um, but sometimes my brain will wander off and I'll dive into my painting, probably a little deeper than I should be, and too early, meaning start judging myself too early. So I do love whether it's podcasts or audiobooks. Audiobooks are great too because you can really get immersed into stories and just allow yourself to create. All right, I am just moving right along. And like I said, I love painting these sides. They're like these little mini paintings. So speaking of this painting and the way that I like to paint, let me share with you. I recently launched a new online course. Actually, I just launched it a few weeks ago, and I am so grateful for all the folks who signed up. It has been wonderfully successful. It's my first full-blown online course where I did all of the recording for it. I broke it all down step by step, everything that I like to do. And we're working on paper on this in this online course. And I just show you, how to loosen up, how to mix colors, how to harmonize your colors, and then every step of my process. And the bonus of all of that is also, well, first of all, it's all in real time. Nothing is sped up like this. And I also, oh, here we go. Let me talk about this real quick. So this is a commissioned piece, and she sent me some colors that she really liked. This is going to Puerto Rico. She's going to go visit family, and she just sent me some colors that she thought would be great. But she also understood that I should be using any colors that my heart desires. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try to throw in some of those colors, and that's why I have it on my phone there. Okay, so going back to my online course, I will walk you through, and here's what I was saying. So the cool part about this online course is that you get to hear my thought process. So when I am putting down marks, I'm talking you through it and I'm saying why I'm putting that mark there or why I don't like that mark there or what the issue is in this particular area and I talk you through how I fixed it and what my basically what I'm thinking the whole time. So it's fascinating, even for me to listen to. It's fascinating to hear, the thought process behind every mark that I put down. Anyway, that's the course, and it comes with 2 bonuses. One is on values, so, there's an hour-long course, or video just on working with values, and we create a piece together just using black and white paint and black and white mark-making tools. So it's really cool in the sense that understanding how important values are in your painting, and we do that by just working with black and white. And then the other bonus is how to protect your artwork once you are done. So anyway, I'm going to include a link down below for you if you are interested, and I will send you that. Also, if you sign up for my email list, I send you a discount code for the course. So I'll include that information. If you just, you know what, down below, just put the word color. And if you just type color, I'll know that you're interested in the course and I will send you the link to get more information. All right, moving right along here. So looking at this piece, we've got some depth with the black still peeking through here and there. I like to put a lot of it down, but I like it to peek out at the very end. Although there, I'm covering up quite a bit of it, aren't I? Up close, there is still some peeking through. And then at the bottom there, I've got kind of a larger element. I've got that circle. And then to the left, I've got those lines, representing, again, my love for flowers. And so I can see some composition coming through here where I've got larger elements, kind of a medium size element. I've got some dots up in the the right side, circles, I should say, not dots, circles. And then I've got these lines over on the left side, which represent my love for stepping stones. But those are kind of competing with those bluish lines down below it. So, I should pull up a picture on my phone so I can talk through a little bit more of where it really ends up being. Give me a second here while I look this up on I've got a picture of it here somewhere on my phone, the end result. And it does go through some transformation. Okay, here I've got a photo. So those stepping stones, I end up reducing them a bit because they came down too low and were competing with those other lines. So those are some things that, I look at as we go through this and I discover, what's competing, what's taking up too much real estate or what is conflicting with something else in that piece. And sometimes I do put down marks where they just simply shouldn't be. It doesn't make sense to have them there. And I end up, like I said, it's acrylic paint, let it dry, we'll take it out later. Here I'm bringing in grayish where the black was. That just deepens that a bit more. There's still a tiny bit of that original black showing through. Moving my way through it. What I've discovered is when I was trying to use some of those colors that she really liked, and that was actually making it a bit more difficult for me because I am an intuitive painter. So, when I have to work with certain colors, then I start thinking about them too much and maybe I just start to overthink it a bit. That's just the way I am. Right. I was covering up some areas, feeling like there was something just not working for me. And I'm coming in here with some smaller circles or not quite as large as that big one. And I end up actually removing that larger one because I felt like it was just proportionately too big compared to all my other marks on the page. On the page, sorry, not the page, but on the wood, on the cradled wood. So I'm certainly working with a smaller brush. I think this one might be like a size 6, I want to guess. I don't know. It depends on the brush that you get. All the sizes are slightly different, but certainly a smaller brush. I even like working like with a 4 or a 2 on this size. I just love being able to make a lot of marks as I go. And if I use a big brush, then I'm just gonna, wipe out a whole area and there won't be any smaller marks within it. Now here I'm taking out some of that mustard yellow because I felt like it was way too much on that bottom area. So going over it, but yet you can see just a little bit of it peeking through. And that does get changed later again. Like I said, it goes through a lot of transitions because when you put down one color, it's going to influence or it's going to tell you what the next color should be. And sometimes one color or two colors, they don't work next to each other or within the entire piece. So it means coming back in with yet, a different color. And here I'm grabbing directly out of the jar. I do like that mustardy yellow color, which is the ochre, and that is on my Betty's Bundle list. It's a much earthy yellow. And there what I was doing is I was offloading my brush, and I like to just make some funky marks all over the place, just keeping it loose and more organic. There are marks that I make that are very intentional, and that's why I like to come in with some really loose marks. And that's just putting my brush on its side and offloading whatever is on the brush. All right, we've got a little bit ways to still go until I'm kind of done with that first sitting of getting all this done, which I think took me like an hour and a half, I want to say, of just working through the initial part of the painting, the majority of it. This past weekend, I was in Half Moon Bay showing my art. Actually, I had my art there for 2 weekends in a row. There's a gallery there that is kind of like a co-op where you rent out wall space for the weekend. So the weekend being Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Don't we all wish our weekends were always Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Anyway, it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Half Moon Bay. I've shown my work there many times before. They used to be at a different location and they were right across from the ocean, which I loved that location. Now they're in the downtown area and great foot traffic, lots of people coming by. But, these past 2 weekends weren't so great. So the reason for that is because we had a ton of rain here in California and there was a sinkhole on Highway 92, which is the main highway that goes from inland, the inland area over to the ocean, from kind of across somewhere between San Francisco and San Jose, closer to San Francisco. But anyway, it's one of the main ones that takes you over. And there was a sinkhole. So it was closed and then they opened it, but there was so much traffic. The day that I went to go set up my wall space, it took me an hour and 40 minutes to get there and an hour and 40 to get home. Typically, it's like 50 minutes to an hour tops. So very long drive. So not a lot of people were coming over to Half Moon Bay because of, the road closure or the slowdown of trying to get across to the other side to get to the ocean. So that, I think that was the reason why, didn't have sales last weekend, other than a couple of small items. And then this weekend, so this past Monday, it was there was the shooting and the mass shooting in Half Moon Bay, and the tragedy of that. 7 people died. A man was a disgruntled employee, went from one location. He shot, I think, 3 people in one location, went to another location and shot 4 more people. And so there was, it's a small town. There's a lot of grieving. There was a memorial service. I was posting on my stories on Instagram the memorial that they had set up with all of the flowers and candles and words that were left behind. So Half Moon Bay was going through quite a bit between the storms and the shooting that, I kind of felt like maybe people were staying away. There was also, the football games going on Sunday, so Sunday was definitely very slow. So it certainly wasn't a good weekend for me to be there, the 2 weekends in a row. But that happens sometimes, it just, sometimes it's really good and sometimes it ain't good at all. And so that's all right. I had several people come over. Let me see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 or 7 people that stopped by because they watch my videos here on YouTube or they follow me on social media. So that was like the highlight of both weekends, having people come over that follow me and I get to meet them in person and we get to chat a bit about, their art journey and what they're doing, and they get to see my art in person. So that was that alone was worth it. I just had fun meeting everybody and chatting with them. That's my favorite part. All right, I am still working my way through this. Notice I've introduced some purple here. So I came back in and I'm kind of mixing my colors. You can see I've got my cool colors and my warm colors all opened up. And I just felt like I needed to introduce yet one more color. This is mostly a, what I call a cool color. Now, cool colors can be warm, a green can be a warm green and a cool green, but for simplicity's sake, I like to just call this my cooler colors. So here you can see a little bit of the brighter colors peeking through, but for the most part, it's mostly the greens and the blues in this painting. So I'm not giving up here. I'm still working through it. Oops, I've got somebody notifying me. Let me turn that off. I don't know if I'm going to be able to turn that off. Hopefully that won't be making too much noise. I should have turned it off before I started recording. There we go. Now my phone's going to be making noise. I can easily turn off my phone, and but if I do anything on my laptop as I'm recording, it's going to cut it off, and then I won't be able to. I'll have to start the recording again from where I leave off. I don't want to mess that up. Okay, really close to, feeling like this is getting somewhere. But again, I will come back in. You'll see as I work through it, it's going to be a bit different than what you see here. And that's the beauty of, setting something aside and looking at it, or taking a photo and looking at it away from the studio or away from, your desk, wherever you're creating, and look at it on your phone, when you're sitting and watching TV or whatever. And it gives you immediately a different view and a different perspective of the painting if you just, step away from it for a little bit. And that's what I ended up doing. And that's why I was like, nope, that's not working. I need to fix a few things. And that's what I love about creating art, is this, fixing things, trying to resolve issues with the painting. And that really is part of who I am. I have always been a problem solver. Come to me with a problem and let's come up with some ideas of how to solve it. And that's my approach to painting as well. Give me a painting and let me look at it, and or I should say, give me my painting, let me look at my painting, and I will figure out what's wrong with it and how I want to fix it. Tapping of my fingers, that's usually an indicator I'm not 100% sure. Okay, Coming back another day, it's thoroughly dry now. My white paint is kind of stuck in there because I don't put the lid back on. All right, tap, tap, tap. So I decided that I need some larger elements. So I'm taking those ones and I just kind of put two of them together and made it a bit larger. And now I felt like, well, I don't like four of them. Let's add a few more. I always like odd numbers. Okay, so I'm coming in with a really light value, which is mostly white. I think, yeah, I didn't put down any other color, did I? So it's just white on my brush. Let's use that somewhere else too. All right, so now that really stands out, right? That's not going to work, but I did that so that it created a kind of a base for me so that I can add some colors over it. I'm not going to do a ton here, but I am coming in with some lighter values. I realized that my values were not light enough. You know, I like to hit both ends of the spectrum when it comes to values. So having, you know, a really dark area, and you can see that with the black or the really dark gray, and also then coming in with some lighter values. And I did that with just having some white on my brush. So coming in with that purple, I was liking the purple, wanted a little bit more of that. And I love making purple with, so I've got this pink, which I think is, I'm not sure which pink that is, but I'm using phthalo turquoise to create, so combining that warm color and a cool color. So it doesn't have to always be blue. It doesn't have to be red and blue to create that purple. You can certainly do that. It'll make a beautiful purple. But you can make purples with different shades of blue or different shades of red. I'm not sure I'm using the word shades correctly. I'm so not good on that technical stuff, but I think you know what I mean. Okay, I've got a smaller brush here, and it's not my rigger. It's just, I think it's like a number 2, so it's making those much finer marks. This is blue-green, another favorite. And I'm putting some lines here that represent, I love little picket fences. You know those little white ones that they used to always have? I don't know. I just love those. So that's what I put there. And then I decided, nope, that's competing with those ones below. That's not going to work. As much as I love that, I don't want it competing with those white marks I just did down below. And really looking at this, you know, it's feeling very left-sided, meaning I have lighter values on the left side and I have those marks in a light value on the left side, and that's feeling, it's feeling off balance. And so I end up having to address that. I'm taking a peek at my final one again, and yeah, I do end up addressing that. So when I said earlier I don't do a whole lot more to this, I was wrong. I do end up doing a lot more to this. And I can tell looking at the sides here, they were not completely done. There's room to make more marks there. So normally a 12 by 12 like this wouldn't take this long for me. I've done them in a shorter period of time, but like I said, sometimes they just don't flow the way I want them to flow. They're just not going in the direction I want them to go. And so they will take a bit longer. So bringing out some of that darker color and mixing in a bunch of colors. Decided to take out that ochre color, mustard color. I wasn't feeling it. And a lot of this is, you know, how am I feeling about it? How does that look to me? Um, how does that sit with me? And I know that that's something that takes a while to learn to do and to kind of trust your gut. And it's not, it's not something that I did in the beginning. There were many years there that I was putting stuff down and putting down paint colors and marks and stuff and like not feeling it. I don't know what I'm doing. Can't tell you how many times I used to say to myself, this was before I discovered to listen to podcasts. I would say to myself, no clue. I have no idea what I'm doing. Don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I put down that mark. I don't know if that's good. There was too much negativity. So I was so happy when I had discovered the podcast, actually I was first starting to listen to videos on YouTube, and that's how I discovered that that works better for me. Okay, I did some drips there just by wetting my brush really well, and then I decided, nah, I don't really like those drips there. So again, I'm always trying something, doing something, experimenting. If I like it, it stays. If I don't like it, it goes. And sometimes that means just coming in there and wiping it down. Okay, now I'm coming back into this. I think I let it dry for a little bit. And I know that because I can see on my video that it cut and then I came back in. And I'm thinking it was probably the same day. I may have just stopped for lunch or something. Okay, it's getting there slowly, putting my hand over areas that I'm not sure about and I'm questioning. That's kind of my way to figure out if I want to keep it or not. Now, put down some water. Oh, here we go. We're going to put down some splatters. I love splatters. Put some on the top. And that's just wet. That is white paint with some water on it. And I don't like to put it, I don't like to cover the entire thing with splatters, There's usually here, I should have slowed this down for you, but at the very end, I have a slowed down version. All right, putting lids back on, maybe calling it done. I do like the purple that came back in. Okay, maybe not done. So it looks like I'm coming back in with, that might be phthalo red, and that is the, let me think in my brain, the pink, fluorescent pink maybe, or quinacridone. Quinacridone red or quinacridone magenta, I'm not really sure now. I should probably keep a handy list next to me when I'm doing my voiceover so I can tell you which color it is. All right, I felt like it needed a pop of some other color because I just had that purple in there, but it wasn't really popping. As much as I like to, reduce the number of colors that I'm using, I really love those little pops of color. All right, so that's where I'm leaving it, and then here we go, coming back in again. Covering up areas again. At this point, I had this sitting across the room on a little coffee table that I have next to my chair, not a coffee table, like a side table. And I could see it from a distance, and that helped me figure out, well, there's an area I don't like. And that, going back to it, that white area that I'm covering up right now was still competing with those marks down below. And I was purposely leaving those marks lighter because I wanted something in a lighter value, whether that's filling in or making marks in a lighter value. But I'll tell you now, I didn't end up keeping those, not in that color. Because I like to work quickly, I am such a double, triple, quadruple dipper. I just take my brush and dip into my colors. And it doesn't bother me that I do that because I mix my colors anyway. I never use, well, I shouldn't say never, I rarely use true colors out of the jar. And sometimes when I dip into the jar directly and put it onto my painting, I'm actually trying to look for an area in that jar that already has some other paint color mixed in with it. so that in a sense I am kind of mixing colors. Kind of crazy, but it works for me. All right, so coming back in with some darker value again. And I end up tackling that corner a couple of times. And now it feels like there's this band that goes all down the left side. That needs to be addressed. And I end up addressing it. It was too similar to the colors up above, so I came in with some green. And even though people don't see the bottom of this type of cradled wood painting, you know, when it's up on the wall, you're rarely going to see the bottom, but I still love to make sure I've got paintings on every side of it. And like you'll rarely ever see the top of it too, right? But I still like to make sure that it's completely covered and painted and it looks good. Coming back in with that same color I used in the lower corner, except for I think I added just a, did I add a touch of color? Now I can't recall, but let me share with you also, I have my favorite art supplies that you can get via Amazon or via Blick. So leave me a message below if you're interested in that, but there is a link right down below this video to my favorite art supplies, along with a number of other links that may be useful to you. I love the one on Amazon, especially because on Amazon I can throw in other products, not just when I use Blick for my favorite art supply list. It's Blick is very specific to art supplies, right? But on Amazon, I also include here's a quick close up. It's not done, but I'm showing you guys where it's at this point. Slowly coming together. Not quite there yet. Anyway, so with Amazon, I can also share with you like what products I use to record my videos or um, the plastic that I like to use on my tabletop, things like that. And that's why I love using Amazon and being an affiliate on Amazon so that I can share with you a lot more than just art supplies because, you know, you're running an art business. I think I have on there also some of my shipping supplies that I like to use. So, okay, coming in here, decided those white marks were just a little too big. So I'm just going to reduce them down in size just a tiny bit. Now, does that solve my problem? No, but it gets me one step closer to being, you know, finished. Like I said earlier, I just got to try different things until I love it and the whole piece is working for me. Doing a little filling in there. Making my purple again. Of course, I'm not going to be able to make that exact purple, but that's okay. It's another tint of purple. And that just adds more interest to the piece. So I was trying to think what else I can share with you. So this year, so I am recording this at the end of January. It's January 30th, 2023. And this year, I am going to be having my very first solo show. And I am super excited about that. It's going to be in May, beginning of May, for a couple of months. It'll be at Colibri Gallery in Morgan Hill. Morgan Hill is just south of San Jose, California, where I am. I currently belong to that gallery. They represent my work, and I'll be doing a show. So super excited. And that means I need to get busy. It's like I said, end of January. I need to be creating larger art and small art and variety of different sizes, art on paper, art on wood, art on canvas, so that I can have a variety at this show. Okay, I thought I was done, but we're back. Okay, so I took a picture on my phone, and here I'm showing you how I mark up the whiter, or they're kind of a light blue. And I did slow this down. Here we go. So that's what it looked like. The blue is what it looked like, and the pinkish color is what I want to do. Now, is that going to solve it? Probably not. I'm coming in with Stabilo Woodies, and that wasn't going to work. Kind of rubbing them in. Nope, not the right color. Now, this one is called, there's two names for it. It's not in Betty's bundle. It's called Peach Tone. This one is an old jar called Portrait Tone, but they changed the name to be Peach Tone. And I'm just taking it directly out of the jar because I like the color. It's kind of a soft pinkish color. And I wanted something that wasn't, too in your face. It was a bit softer. And so I thought, well, I'll try that. And then I'm looking at it and I'm not 100% sure. And so I'm now mixing it with, I want to say that's the fluorescent pink, but I'm not 100% sure. And I'm not sure that I have fluorescent pink in Betty's bundle, but it is a fun one to use. Like I said, I'm going to type up a list and have it sitting next to me, so when I talk to you guys, I can tell you exactly what's in there. Okay, so I put this on that little side table again, and I was looking at it and trying to decide, here's what it looked like before and how I adjusted it. Okay, I looked at it and it came back, decided, nope, that's not working. Let's try another color. It just wasn't working with the rest of the piece. Obviously, I didn't use that color anywhere else, and so it wasn't working. So let's try this, the ochre color. I think I mixed that with something. Coming back in with more of a greenish color instead of the ochre color. So try until I get it right. Now that color works much better with the overall painting. But not entirely. All right, came back in with a little bit darker. Getting there. It's a lot closer to what I want, and it's just working much better. Now here, see, I decided that too much of that white was showing from the previous, so I came in and covered up some of that. And came in again and covered up a little bit more. Bringing back some of those circles that disappeared. And covering up that white just a tiny bit more. Because I've only got one layer down on covering up the white, a little bit of it still showing through. Okay, putting the lids on again. Are we calling it done? Yes, we're calling it done. So at this point, I did send it to the client, and Beth loved it. And I was so happy that she loved it. And now I'm coming in with the final mark making. Just like at the very beginning, I like to start with the pencil. I do the same with my final mark making. I like to start with a pencil. And none of my mark making is going to drastically change this piece. It's just going to enhance it. So these are small marks that I'm putting down, and I'm trying to get every corner, or every side, I should say, with my pencil first, and pretty much with all of the mark making that I do here, I'm going to come in with doing every side so that there's a little bit of it all the way around. Here I'm trying to take stuff out. I'm trying to get to the bottom. Sometimes I love having everything in one basket, but other times it's hard to get to, hard to see everything that's in there. I was looking for that little one, which is my favorite teal color, and I like to add that to all my paintings. And here I'd like to scribble, and then I erase some of it. Just a tiny bit of it is erased so that it's not a continuous line. And this part, I usually move pretty quickly. I try not to overthink it. I just look, okay, where can I put some marks? Most of my painting is not slow and methodical at all. I am so opposite of that. And it's just, I would say, part of my personality too. I am not slow and methodical about anything. I like to move through things quickly. I'm a multitasker. I like to get a lot done in the shortest period of time. I know that's not always good, but I have come to embrace that that's who I am, and that's what I do. All right, here I'm using a crayon. This is probably Neocolor 2. Again, if you want a list of, my favorite art supplies, just look below this video. There's a link, or just leave me a comment and I will be happy to send you that. And there's my favorite teal. I always like to come in and just leave that color somewhere on there. Here's a nice neutral or light pale color. And on each side, I'm trying to do a different kind of mark. So I'm kind of looking at, well, what mark is already there? I don't want to do more of those. So what haven't I done that will add some interest to it, that side? All right, I think I'm ready to sign it. Yep, I'm sharpening my pencil. I like to sign in pencil so that I can easily erase it if I mess it up. And I brought over another 12 by 12 by 2 just so I have somewhere to lean my hand. And then on the back of this, I will end up putting my signature, the title, and the year. And here's a slowed down version, as I promised. Lots of goodies and yummy stuff going on. I just love all the detail. There you can see some of my pencil marks. And there's the troubling 7 marks. I think those were 7 marks that were giving me so much trouble. Again, it just happens sometimes. That's how it goes. Got to work through it. There's my signature. Didn't have to erase it, but I could have if I messed up. Show you the sides as well. If you've stuck around this long, I so appreciate it. Love having you here. If you haven't joined haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And also, if you haven't hit that bell, hit the bell so that you're notified when I release another video. One last look. And I've got a still shot of this as well for you so that you can see what that looks like. So that's coming up right here. There we go. So looking good. I'm so happy that it's going to Puerto Rico. And that's the table that I was talking about. I can look at it from across the room. Thank you again for hanging out with me. Check out some more videos here, and I'm wishing you a super fabulous and creative day. Take care.